Hello, everyone. Welcome back to IT Security Labs. And thank you very much for joining me tonight on our weekly live stream. I really appreciate every single person who joins on these learning sessions. And today we have yet another machine. Every single week we go and find a machine. In this case, we have Thoth Tech from Vulnhub. We will attack this machine with the goal of getting root privileges on this machine. Then we'll also do some detection. We'll trigger some alerts in our intrusion detection system as we attack the machine. Try to find out, can we detect and how does detection work? That's the whole point of this. We learn how to become good ethical hackers, and at the same time, we also learn some detection. So today, I have a machine called Thoth Tech that I will be brute forcing, which I never do. But we'll get to see what does brute force look like when you are detecting. That's the main goal here. So again, thank you very much for being here and for joining me. I'm very excited to come back. It has been a long time. Last time I spoke to you guys, I said I was going to take the OSCP. I did take the exam last Thursday and Friday night. I'm still waiting for my results, the official results to come from them. But as you can imagine, the OSCP exam is hands-on. You need to hack machines. So I hacked all 5 machines and I was able to get root or administrator privilege on all 5 of them. That means I'll get 100 points if I did everything right, which is awesome. So with all the 5 machines hacked, that means that I had to write a big report. My report was long as well. So I'm waiting for the results. I'll probably get them in, they said, up to 10 days. So if I get official results, I'll let you guys know. But just wanted to let you know that the attack wasn't bad. The machines are actually way easier than what we do here. Thank you. Hi, Matthew. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for joining again. All right. So as always, like I said, this machine is going to be very easy. Thoth Tech. If you want to follow along with me, download this machine, import it in VirtualBox, and then you should be able to attack it and follow along. It's very simple to set up. All right, without wasting time, let's go to our Kali Linux machine. This is going to be a very quick live stream because the machine is not that hard. I'll do an nmap minus, let's just do an aggressive scan today. Aggressive scan will check for version scan, version services and everything, but it will also be very loud. So it's 38.99. Let's do a ping first. If we can type, right? So we first ping because I don't want to run a scan against something that is not going to come back. All right, so there we go. So ping comes back with the results. So as you can see, our victim machine is online. So our next goal here is to just run an nmap. I'm going to do an aggressive scan. 38.99. For the OSCP, I did use auto recon for my nmap scans because it gave me everything. But I found out that there was no value really in running auto recon. I could have done everything manually the way I show you on this channel and things would have been fine. So for the OSCP, you might want to still use your manual tools instead of like auto recon or mass scan or one of those tools. Just something that I wanted to mention there. So if you do an nmap scan, of course, any intrusion detection system should be able to pick it up. Right now, we see we have port 21, and it is a version number, VFTPD 3.03, and anonymous is allowed. So that's good. We also have port 22 and port 80. I'll let you know, though, that when you're going for exams like the OSCP, you don't get 3 ports. You get 20 ports. That's the only difference here is they'll give you a ton of results, and a lot of people get overwhelmed and their brain just explodes. And that's probably what they want you to do. Just know that you need to still chill. And in this case, we have port 21. So our methodology is still going to be the same. Start at the top. If it's SSH, we might skip it. But FTP is definitely a port you want to take a look at, because FTP, super easy. So one thing that you need to do when you get to FTP right away is, of course, if you see anonymous is allowed, you need to sign in. Do not ignore this. Sign in as anonymous if you see anonymous is allowed. Also, you got a version here. If you are not familiar with these versions, just go ahead and do something like this. Search exploit like that. See if there's an exploit for that. This exploit here does not help us. Denial of service. This will just lock us out. So this is useless. Sir BT, it's good to see you, bro. So if there was a remote code execution or something, then that would be interesting. But also we have anonymous, which is allowed. So, and then we have port 22 and we have port 80. So let's do our methodology. Start with 21 with anonymous, which is allowed. So what I would do is, let's cd to my machines. All right. So in here I have nothing. Then I'll do an FTP. The reason why I want to work in a directory specific to that machine is because when you go to an FTP directory, your goal is to steal what you find there. You are going to loot or steal or get whatever you see. So that's why we're doing this. 99 anonymous. When you sign in as anonymous, it's anonymous and no password. And here is login is allowed. Sometimes when you see an FTP server, what you want to do is check what mode is the server using. Sometimes if it's not in binary mode, or if it's not in, it might not give you interactive mode. So you might do something like dir or ls, and FTP will just hang there. What you want to do is maybe change the format in which you're interacting with. You can enable passive mode by just typing passive, and FTP will let you interact with it. So just because you got in and it's not letting you do things doesn't mean there are no ways to bypass it. And that's where the OSCP is, that silly try harder mentality, because they will give you access to an FTP server, but then you think, oh, it doesn't work because I cannot run commands. There are ways to do that. So if we do an ls in here, you see we have a note.txt. You can just type get note.txt, and this should download the note for us. Let me go and be around. What's up, Jupiter? It's good to see you, bro. All right, so now that we got the note here, what if we had multiple things? You can do a get star. This should also get you everything. Actually, no, this one didn't work. It's mget star. Mget will get you everything. So let's exit out of there. Let's go and read our note that we store. Note.txt. It says, my name is Jack. Your password is very weak and easily crackable. I think change your password. So we didn't get a password here, but we got two pieces of information that are very good. We got a person called PwnLab, and we also got a name of a person called Jack. This is gold because we started with nothing. Now we know there are two users who are potentially interacting with this system. We have PwnLab and we have Jack. And they're talking about password being weak, or we like anything that involves passwords. So what we can do is, it is easily crackable. So that means that we can just use a tool like Hydra to try to see if we can crack the password. But which password are they talking about? We saw this information in FTP. So let's start by trying to crack FTP credentials. So here I'll come and say, let's, do I have password cracking here? Yeah. Oh, by the way, you need notes like this if you're going to be taking the OSCP. I don't like these notes. Okay, Let's just use John here. I have my syntax already right here. I mean Hydra, not John. So if we use Hydra, you say Hydra minus L, then the user, then the password is going to be this here. I'm just going to copy this part and reuse that for Hydra. I would say, okay, I want to use Roku.text because the password is supposed to be easy to guess. PWN lab. So Hydra, brute force, the user, represented by -L, pawn lab, and the password we don't know, so we're going to use the word list, Roku.text. Then Hydra is very easy. You can specify the service that you want to brute force here. In this case, we want to brute force FTP. If we wanted to brute force SSH, just type SSH. Let's start with the FTP. Maybe we'll brute force both. All right. Hydra L user P pass list. Oh. .192.168.38.99. So you need, of course, you need the IP address. So this is the full syntax for Hydra. We're trying to brute force here. I don't usually brute force. I think brute force is a lazy way to try to get in. But in this case, that's what we're given. And as an attacker, we should just be able to adapt. We're being asked to brute force. Well, we brute force. So one reason why I chose this machine today is we haven't done brute force, but what does brute force traffic look like when you are detecting? Remember, this lab, we're not just attacking, we are also detecting. Let's go back to Security Onion. What's up, Mamadou? It's good to see you, brother. All right, let's see. If you're brute forcing, surely an intrusion detection system should tell us, right? So our job today is find out when an intrusion detection system tells us that there's brute force, what really happened? How is it able to tell? Well, right away, the biggest alert here is from Surikara. It's a high alert. It says potential FTP brute force. Well, what are we doing in the backend? We are brute forcing. So now you and I are curious. How did this fire? What rule fired? How did we know that we're brute forcing? What are they looking for when somebody's brute forcing? That's actually really, really good, right? Because we know we're brute forcing for a password on FTP. So we drill down on the alert, and sure enough, there's a bunch of entries which are indicator that we are brute forcing multiple times. So let's pick one of them. It should show us what the alert caught and how it saw. The field that you go to is the network.decoded in here. It should show us what it saw. It saw 530 login incorrect. This is what it saw. That means that the rule that fired saw this. And we can verify by going to this rule here on the reference. It's an emergent threat rule down here. Okay, so now we're taking our learning away from Vulnhub, now we're actually learning real things, right? Okay, so we were brute forcing FTP and we got caught. And the alert says ET scan potential brute force. The rule is set, it's an alert for TCP traffic coming from home net, meaning a private IP address, to an external net. In this case, it's both home net. It doesn't matter. It caught this one. But it's also looking for port 21, which is a FTP port. And this is the message that it's displaying. But it's looking for a flow, in this case, if it's established with the content 530. Remember the content that we saw in the data.decoded. We saw 530 login incorrect. So it's looking for this word here, 530. Login incorrect. And sure enough, we do have 530. or login. It's also, there's this expression that's looking for 530 and a combination of whether login or user or failed or not, all these things that it's looking for. But in this case, we matched on 530 login incorrect. So one of them merged, we got an alert, and that's how we alerted. So if you look at this rule that is here and what we have here, it's not rocket science, right? They are literally looking for specific words, and the damn rule fires. So detection isn't as bad as a lot of people would like to make it sound like. So we can make our own alerts if we know what to look for. In this case, login incorrect, got us caught. So now let's go back to here. Let's see. As you can see, we got a password from FTP 192.168.38.99, and it's baby girl 1. So we brute force FTP. What if we brute forced SSH? What will happen? Are we going to get the same alert? Let me see here. I'm just going to do the same Hydra command, but this time I'm going for SSH. Then we can see what does brute forcing SSH look like to Suricata, in this case, which is our intrusion detection system. If we brute force right now, we are actually attacking SSH. We should get the same password for Vulnhub. So let's go back to our intrusion detection system. We're now brute forcing. This is live right now. So let's go check it out. I'll just refresh this so I can get a clean copy. And it says here, let's see, do we have anything that finds? This is for FTP. All right. Oh, that's interesting. We have this one, ET outbound SSH, but this is a scan. I want one that says brute force. This one says brute force, but look at the count. It only says 1. That's suspicious, but anyway, let's go find out. Okay, that one has 2 things here. SSH connection likely brute force is high. The reason why this is interesting is because maybe this one alert only triggers if it sees multiple SSH connections trying to run. That's what I'm assuming. Otherwise, it didn't catch every single one of them. So let's see. Well, you also want to check, like, okay, what is the destination IP? This is the victim, of course. And what is the source IP? It should be Kali. The message that fired, it also has the data, if you look in here. But I like to go to the actual data decoded here. In this case, it doesn't look easy to read like I thought it should. That's not fun to look at. I'll be honest with you. I don't like to look at this gibberish here. I was expecting simple text, but FTP is not encrypted. SSH, in this case, is giving us a bunch of gibberish. Okay. So let's look at our network.decoded. Where is that field? Oh yeah, it's also, this is the gibberish that I was looking at. All right, let's look at our rule that fired, right? Okay, so it's an alert for SSH from external net to home net. It's looking for port 22. And the message is that, but what are they looking for? In the content, they're looking for lib SSH within, oh yeah, this is good. Let's go check this rule out. I like this rule. They don't have a link to the rule, but okay, let's look at it here. Okay, they're saying we are looking for SSH in the content with lib SSH within 20. That must be some timing that they're doing, or within a certain time period. Type both count net, and they're looking for all this other stuff here. I think this within 20 is what's actually looking for a time period. If somebody knows this stuff more than me, let me know in the comments out there. I'm curious how this stuff works. All right, so as you can see, these rules can be very interesting and fascinating to look at. I'm very, very interested in getting really good at creating suricata rules and knowing exactly how these rules are created and how this detection works. Because at the end of the day, 99% of the jobs out there, I mean, a big percentage of jobs out there are for people who understand detection, not really attacking. Pen testing is a very small subset. Most people need defenders. So we need to know how these rules are created. Uh, let's check again. As you can see, SSH also verified that we have Pornlab and baby girl as a password. And we can see we can detect SSH attacks. So we can now SSH as this person on that system. Yeah, we're SSHing as Pornlab at 192.168.38.99. All right, then we enter the password. So while getting in here was interesting, I hope you learned something about detection through the process of brute forcing. So since we got in here with a password, I always say this in all my live streams. What is the first thing that we do? Actually, we do a sudo -l. Can I run anything as sudo? Anyone who can run things as sudo, that means that they can become root. In this case, this is as easy as machines can be. You can run the find command. Find command, if you go to GTFO bins, you will find a simple command that you can use to abuse the find command to get root. Let's actually just do that right now. Let's go to GTFO bins. Let's look for find. It was a sudo privilege. And it will say, if the binary is allowed to run as super user sudo, it does not drop the elevated privileges and may be used to access the file system, escalate or maintain privilege access. And they give you a proof of concept here. Like if you type this, it will work. In most cases, in simple scenarios like this, if you just use what they have as an example, it works most of the time. And as you can see, let's see, this one worked. You can say ID, who am I? What is our flag? Okay, that was the user directory. That was the user flag. Let's get the root flag. And we just got 2 flags. As you can see, these machines are very easy and straightforward. In this case, we got root by brute forcing. Not the most elegant way of getting root. Definitely don't recommend you to be brute forcing everything you see out there. But attackers do brute force things, so you need to know how to detect the brute force traffic. And as you can see, our detection here did pick it up. So if you're interested in following along, please do set up your own lab as well. But before we finish, we say we are done here. Let's go and interact with this data in a different way. And this is where another skill that you need to have as well. So now that we know that when we were brute forcing, we actually had set up in the network decoded data, we were setting something like, what was it? The 530, login incorrect. What if I wanted to know when did the brute force happen? Did they do this in one time? Like how often did they do this on my network? And I just want to see a clear picture in a timeline, right? So I know that the field is network.data.decoded. And the message is 530 login incorrect. So I'll come here. This is where Kibana shines, right? In Kibana, let's go to the Discover tab. And the field is network.data.decoded. and we're looking for, let's just say 530. Let's see all instances where we saw this code in the data.decoded. And here we are. It gives us a timeline. At 8 p.m., we saw 39 attempts of, actually, let's put the whole thing in there. So now if your boss is asking you like, okay, when did the attack happen? How often did this person try to brute force, right? You can say, well, I'm seeing right here in the timeline. Soon after 9 p.m., I see 49 hits of the same. And if you really want to be specific, you can say the destination IP was 192.168.38.146. So you can do this. It's saying destination.ip. That is 38.146. So now you're using this data to tell a story. You're saying this attacker who was sitting on 192.168.38.146 was brute forcing, what I know from my security onion, in these times. So if I hit enter here, this should give me specific traffic when this attacker was trying to brute force and they were getting this. And you can even do an and destination is to be more granular if you have a lot of traffic. But this will just tell you when this happened and how many hits you got in, you know, simple terms. What if I just wanted the SSH traffic? Let's do destination.port 22. Oh, no. This is the destination IP is the victim 99 and destination port 22. Let's see if we can see traffic that was destined for port 22 on the victim. Remember, we are tagged port 22 on the victim as well. So here are instances when traffic was destined for port 22 on the victim. And as you can see, we have a ton. Tell me, in the real world, what are the chances that you will get 45 hits in a 15-minute period on a SSH port? Who is trying to SSH 15 times to their server? Or do you have 15 people trying to SSH to the same exact server 15 times? So this tells you this is something malicious, or at least something worth looking at. Unless if somebody is really just messed up and they forgot their password, this is something that is supposed to let you go and investigate. So as you can see, our detection when it comes to SSH is right on point, and we have events and we have data. And getting comfortable with this and not seeing it as gibberish is gold in this industry. If you want to work in cybersecurity, being comfortable just looking at data and coming up with stories like what I'm telling here, I believe is really, really helpful. And then, of course, we can create a case in the Hive and interact with this. The last part I wanted to show you is if we wanted to interact with PCAP, you can also do that, because I do in the hunt interface here. This really helps. You can just look here. Here's all the brute force. What if I just wanted a PCAP for one of these? I know in here there's a place where I can generate a PCAP. All right, let's do that. I think if you just click on one of these under actions, there's PCAP. What if I wanted a PCAP so I can look at what really happened at the packet level? Again, this is another skill that you need as a security person, being able to interact with PCAP and understanding the TCP/IP transactions, who initiated the conversation, how did it go, what was actually in there. And of course, here, it will take a little bit. It's generating a PCAP in the background. And if I wanted to see who started the scene arc conversation, and what was included in there. If there was anything, Security Onion gives you that ability as well, which is really, really amazing. So all this is leading to us is a lot of people who join these live streams or who follow my channel want to work in information security. You should be doing these checks, interacting with PCAP, interacting with an intrusion detection system, looking at the rules, also learning the ethical hacking part of it. But really, all these things really help you when you go to work, because employers are looking for people who, if they sit in front of traffic, they can decipher and try to find out what's going on, and also hopefully investigate events and incidents. So this might take a while. I don't know how big this PCAP is or how fast this server. So I'll let it run in the background. Let me know if you have any questions. So far, we are done. We got root on this machine in less than 10 minutes if I wanted to. But let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, for notes, someone had asked, like, oh, what do you use for notes? I use these in OneNote. Very, very helpful notes. I cannot emphasize that enough. When I was taking the OSCP exam, it took me 17 hours to get all 5 machines, but my notes were by far really helpful. I use, for example, this, where's my file transfer section? These file transfer notes here and some links that I have in here. I use them all the time because you transfer files and you need to know multiple ways of transferring files. So definitely know how to use notes. And I even learned how to transfer files using Telnet. Interesting stuff. So yeah, I use OneNote. Cherry Tree is a good one I have heard out there. The good thing about my OneNote was that I was able to sync my OneNote, because I was using the same OneNote here for note taking during the exam. This was syncing to my, Microsoft account, and if this thing died, I'll still have my notes, because you don't want to have your notes on one system. You want to sync them to the cloud, like someone here was mentioning. All right, so that was a short one. Let me know, guys, what you want me to be working on. Since I'm done with the OSCP, I still want to keep learning on the defense side, but if there's something that will benefit a lot of people, I would also want to hear from you, so we can create content that is relevant. But things that include Splunk, Security Onion, very, very interesting stuff. And I think as we keep learning over the years, if you are part of this channel, you know we'll get better with time. So that's what I have for today. And let me check my PCAP. Is it done? Oh, come on. Let's go to the PCAP tab. It's done. It just didn't update. All right. So here's a PCAP. You can download this and open it in Wireshark, or you can interact with it in here. As you can see, who initiated the discussion? My colleague Linux started the TCP handshake. And as you can see, we started with the scene, we got a scene arc. So this is just confirmation that, things did really work. And then you can interact with this in other ways that you want. And since this is FTP, we didn't do one thing. We did get a note.txt file. At some point, we store a file. Can we tell that we downloaded a file from our intrusion detection system? I don't know what the field is called, but I'm going to search for the file. This might not work on a big system. Yes, here it is. I used FTP to download a file called note.txt, and as you can see, we have it. You can only see this because FTP is in plain text, right? So there it is. If you wanted to see how much traffic did the attackers steal or loot, you can actually search as well and see. But in this case, this was a Zik FTP log that found it. So Ricardo didn't even cough when he found this. All right. So if you want to email me, this is the email you can send it an email to. It works. Uh, Let me know if you have any questions. But I believe this stuff is really fun. If you get excited about this stuff, you and I are in the same boat. It's exciting. It gets my blood excited. I mean, I just can't help myself but start poking around. And I'm looking forward to more of this. I'll be redoing my lab to add more storage, flash storage, really good stuff coming on this channel. More videos starting as soon as I hear that I passed the OSCP, I'll start making real videos in addition to these live streams. Since I'm no longer studying for the OSCP, I'll actually be making tutorial videos as well. And if there is a specific topic you're interested in, let me know. All right. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions, send me an email. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Thanks a lot.